Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Doc here from North America. It is Thursday, one day away from TGIF. Thank goodness it'll be Friday. That's where we're at. All right, let's check it out. All right, which one do we have up here? Let's see. Now let's put up the. Let's see. Let's go to the Swiss franc. See how it looks this morning. Coming back down again. In other words, the dollar's trying to weaken in there. Let's put it over in here. Swissy, Swissy, Swissy. Right there. How about one of the Swiss banks? They taking it on the old chin. We knew that. Remember we've talked about unwind and why Deutsche Bank is, pretty much trading at bankruptcy prices the way Citibank is basically trading at bankruptcy prices. The same situation. They did, they had to unwind a position, and they took a decent amount of hits. Like it looks like they're going to take about $2 billion of hits. They're going to lose $2 billion just trying to facilitate, execution and for a client. Wow, obviously they don't know how to do the execution in the execution business, do they? The key is not to lose a couple $1 billion when you're facilitating a trade. I remember this one time I was a young floor broker, and I was floor brokering in the currencies, and we had somebody. I've mentioned it here before. I did the largest options trade in the world, and everybody came running back to that part of the exchange floor to find out what had happened. And I said, I filled an order, and they said, well, why didn't you talk to me? And I said, when you go to fill, at 800,230 contract, 800,230 contracts. So not 80,000, not 800, 800,000. It was a box in the British pound. And when you have that and in your hand and you're getting paid 70 cents on the dollar, for every contract, yeah, I'm going to execute that about as fast as I can. It took a few minutes to get it lined up. Made an offer in the pit. People were stunned. I gave another 30 seconds of opportunity to start to hedge themselves going into the Forex market. This was an options trade. And boom, I executed it. It took I guess maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes before people realized that all around the trading floor what had happened. And they came running back there. It's like, wow, couldn't you give us a warning? I said, I did. I told everybody this. Here it is in the pit. It's where it's supposed to be. And, and when you're getting paid 70 cents per contract and someone gives you an opportunity to execute over 800,000 of them, bang! As we used to say, Phil and Bill. That was pretty much the name of the game. Phil and Bill. So, that is where we're at, That is it. So, that is the action. Oh, it looks like NASA has the Perseverance Mars rover extracted oxygen. So they've actually been able to produce oxygen on the planet Mars now. That's cool. Now it is fact. Very cool. So, anyway, the meaning about all that is that I feel sorry for this Swiss bank. Obviously, they have people in there not knowing what they're doing and why they're doing it because they've lost $2 billion. Trust me, that day we did not lose. We made like $750,000. So that was yeah, just an execution. Now, was it a risk? Of course, it was a risk in the idea of not making the execution correctly, but I was a master of that. I used to break records all the time. So that is what it is. But I feel sorry for them. Now I understand they're floating new stock and they're in trouble and they're trying to, to compensate for the ARCA, whatever they call themselves. Oh, yes. So that is where we're at. Okay, so there's the Swiss. and it's moving. What is that? Moving down a little bit, so that means the dollar is getting some, and so it's like very good. When it comes to describing what the dollar is doing. You can see here on J4X, it's like wow, just sliding away. Whereas here, you see we're actually trying to turn up. Our math is trying to turn up in here. We had a volatility signal, a red and a green yesterday, and we have no dot at the moment, and it's trying to get through the zero line. But you can see here on the weekly, we're piercing the bottom of the time manifold, the nonlinear time manifold. I remember yesterday I got stalled and called it integrated when I was trying to go out with an algebraic expression. It's not a linear approximation. That's what I wanted to say. So anybody out there doing the math on this, it's not a linear approximation. It is our proprietary nonlinear time manifold itself. So no extrapolations here. Yeah. Oh yeah. I agree. Yeah. Water, and someone's texting me that they're, you know, hoping they're fine water. That makes total sense on Mars, so they can manufacture things like fuel and so forth. Anyhow, where do we go back to? So let's jump over to. That's enough a combination of saying sorry to the poor people in that Swiss bank. And let's take a look at the euro and see what the euro is doing. Boy, I feel really bad for them. Executing and losing $2 billion on execution. Oh my God. Well, what it really is that they invented a product and sold it to their client, and then they didn't lay it off correctly. In other words, get rid of it. They still held on to it, taking the other side. So why would they take the other side of a guy that just made like, I don't know, what did he do? He turned like 10 billion into 100 billion. Why would you take the other side? Sooner or later he's going to be wrong, and you should be short on it. Obviously, no, they were long on it somehow or another. Maybe they were piggybacking on his trades. There's the euro. You can see it's moving up. Lots of firmness there. You see how it looks on J4X. I'm sorry, Chicago Quant. You can see relatively flat right there, up just a teeny little bit. But look at that. That's interesting. We're seeing it roll over, hit the time manifold, and heading south. A day away from Friday. Chances, I mean, they would really have to smack this down to get the weekly. See the weekly here. To get the weekly in the minus. You can't even get the white line, a little below the manifold. Now, cable, on the other hand, right there, is already doing it, which is interesting. And at the same time, flirting with the weekly buy. Maybe it'll bounce it back up. We'll see. But right now, that's there's pressure on it. And where did they get to? They got to 40, right? I always go. As soon as I see it going to a buy, I think it's going to 40 or 42, one or the other, right up into the 40s. Ah, so that's where we are with the cable. It's just doing that teeny weeny little rollover. Now let's drift over to Turkish lira right there. You see Turkish lira is marching its way up. We keep on thinking it's going to hit those cute little yellow dotted lines. And I'm afraid to say that I think it's going to go way beyond that, but I think they're in trouble. I saw an odd article. I didn't mention it yesterday. I saw this really odd article. It was Biden, um, Aragon. So President Biden, President Aragon, and Prime Minister Netanyahu from Israel, and something about I don't know, their intimidation or something, and Aragon is just off the rails or something. I don't know. I didn't want to really get into it because it was way too more political than I usually care for. I mean, it's not. I mean, whatever Aragon's doing, he's doing. You can measure his success or failure by just the numbers itself. I mean, you look at the When he got involved in government and took over as prime minister and then president, we've seen the product go from 1.5 to 8.5. So obviously, there's not much of a brainer. You don't have to think too hard about figuring that out. It's not helping out too many people. But I'm afraid that he may be heading towards that long-term capital management situation. I'm not sure what, but just traders be careful over there, because don't be surprised if you wake up and find this thing trading at 10.5 one day. Let's see, where do we go from here? Let's see. And then we go over to what we'd usually do is we look at Canadian. For some reason, Canadian, I'm surprised I don't. Oh, you know what? I haven't even looked on my chat line. Let me check my chat line. Usually 47 jumps in and says, "Hey, how's the the Canadian doing?" That's what he usually does. But today I don't see him up on the chat line chasing Canadian. Shit, Canadian's kind of sloppy in all kinds of directions today. And so there it is right there. So there you can see the Canadian broke into a daily sell there on yesterday's close. Didn't put a line on it there. Needed to put a line on it. There we go. Let's put that there. Whoop. And it's unchanged today. And the weekly, let's see what the weekly's doing here. Why do we have that in there? Let's move that out of the way. There we are. And the weekly, which went into a weekly buy last week on Canadian, is rolling over. That was one heck of a smack-a-doodle right there. That's a pretty big bar. You can see a couple of these where they momentumed for a couple of days with it. In this case here, that one did it there, and it was a beginning of a momentum move on the upside. But here, we've come down. If this was down here today, I'd be thinking, wow, we're going to glide onto the downside. And you can see here, which is positive for the Canadian, obviously, and against the dollar. It means the dollar is going down in value. And you can see here that it is flirting. Should put that little circle. Let's put that little circle there. Right there. Yep, it's flirting with the weekly sell there. Let's do it here. Let's use the mouse over on the side. And there is the little pink circle-ish line. And we'll take the inside and turn it like that. And there we go. You can see it's pressure is starting to develop in there. Maybe it'll go after these lows here. That wouldn't surprise me. There you are. You were ready about to ask, yeah. Yeah, we're moving along pretty fast today. Doing memory lane and at the same time watching some of this action here. I was a little surprised with that slam. I mean, yesterday when you asked in the morning, wasn't it up or something? Right? It was up. It was up and looking firm up in here, right? It was like unchanged, right? And we were in the weekly buy, and I thought, well, maybe it's going to go up. And we looked at the oil, and oil was kind of sideways up, was it, or sideways down? I don't remember now. And then now look at it. By the end of the day, they took a punch out of it, and hard enough to try to chase it back into the weekly sell. And that was a real surprise. When I saw that last night when I was saving data, I was like, wow, look at that thing. They smack-a-doodled it. Put a little pressure there. Yeah. Bank of Canada. Yeah, yeah, I heard something about they got caught in between something, but I think the Bank of Canada is pushing it down. It's kind of odd. You would think that they would leave it alone. I mean, who knows? Yeah, Elon Musk. Musk is definitely. My son is hitting me with all kinds of science stuff. He follows Mars the way I follow Electric Universe. He follows Elon Musk too. He was long a lot of that dog coin. He bought it when Musk bought it at a quarter of a cent. So he's made some good money off of that. He's lightened up 75% of his portfolio between around 35 cents. So that wasn't bad. Hmm. So let's go over to. Uh, we'll take a look at. Trying to think what it is. We'll look at um, the New Zealand NZD against the Canadian now, or the loonie trade. And looking at Canadian, I guess that means that the oil should be strong, but I think it closed in a daily sell. Yeah, yesterday closed in a daily sell. Let's see how this is looking. Now this was breaking down yesterday. See how it was breaking down here? It closed at the lows of the day, but we didn't get into a sell. But today they're doing it. So if this is going down and the Canadian is going down, gold. I mean, oil must be sideways. Let's take a look at oil. See what it's doing here. What is that? That is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. There is oil. It's up a little bit, even with it down. You can see the pressure. Now, what's interesting is this is trying to climb into a weekly buy. This is on the daily, even with the slope cutting down. This thing is trying to turn up. We just need to see this thing get some energy into it, no pun intended, and see if they get some buyers in there. Right now, it doesn't seem that way. So that is what's going on with the oil, and then those pairs trades, and that's where we are. So what we do from here is we drift over to where do we drift over to? We drift over to oh, here we go. Here's Andy. Hey Andy, how you doing? Yes, QE taper tantrum. Yeah, did you see the did you see was it the Japanese did not for a couple of days did not buy ETFs. They said that they were tapering. That's right. That's right. That's what it was. That's what I heard. You're right. Yeah, I heard that they had tapered. I heard the Canadians were tapering, and so were the Japanese. And their stock market took a nice pouncing on the downside. And sure enough, last night they were back in there, obviously, because the stock market made back everything it gave up. Remember the Bank of Japan is something like 65-70% of the volume of the ETFs on the stock indices in Japan. But I do remember seeing that now. I'm glad you brought that up. It was tapering. You're right. It was tapering on the Canadian. And I was like, oh, yep, that's a good reason. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, this quantitative easing universe is just Looneyville, just Looneyville. It just goes on and on and on. It never seems to end. It just never ever ends, and it just gets bigger and bigger. And there's a lot of pressure, lots of pressure. Uh, so that's where we are with the oil, and I guess natural gas. Let's take a look at natural gas. Natural gas, right there. Natural gas, yeah, today is pushing into the sell side, but the weekly's holding up there. So that will be probably the next, thing to see. Really, is that the energies are trying to, I don't know, pare back a little bit. You can see the oil paring back. Let's see, even the robo gas was cheaper at the pump there yesterday. Let's see if we can spot that too, right there. See, they're all trying to move down a little bit. I don't know if it's a slowing economy or what, but there's some real uh, there's a feeling that the stimuluses are like a tax, and it's putting pressure on the economy. I've seen that said a few times now in the last 48 hours. Now, the mainstream media is not going to talk about it, but some of the economists that I trust have been talking about it. They feel like that's going to be real problems, and that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Yeah, it's just between the central banks need to do something. They've inflated this economy so high up. Uh, it's made it tough. It's it's an equity inflation, and the trick is, I guess maybe they're going to try to pare back a little bit, see how the inflation factor comes out, because I'll tell you, all the assets are just exploding in value. It makes it very hard for investors to invest. I mean, we can see it that money doesn't know what to do. If it wasn't for Reddit and like Robinhood, there would be no new initiative going on at all in the financial arena when it comes to the public participating. Having a sip of my tea here. So yeah, it's we're going through some really strange stuff in here. Now let's take a look at. Let's see. We go back over to the ruble. We jump into the currencies again from that side. Where's it? Dollar ruble. Right. Where are you, dollar ruble? I know you're around here somewhere. There it is, right there. We'll put it up on here. The dollar ruble. Oh, I'm going to go there, like that. And there's the dollar ruble. They're moving back down again after that one-day attempt. Notice it was a red and a green, so it didn't put it in the buy. And maybe they're going to calm it down. I don't know. Maybe they're going to stay away from all this warmongering. I don't know. What is it? There's all kinds of stuff going on with the ruble. I mean, especially with Biden. His last time he was in the administration, he was the vice president, and they tried to overthrow Putin. I mean, no doubt that there's a lot of animosity going on there. Lots of it. So awful hard to try to guess what's going on next with those people over there. I mean, I'm talking about not Putin. I think Putin is pretty clear and not too hard to figure out. It's the what Biden has people doing. That's the real problem right there. Not Putin. It's Biden. Anyway, that's that with the ruble. Then we jump over to the yen. Let's see what the yen looks like. Looks like it's firming up. Maybe because of that alone, what was that going on? Let's see if we can widen this. Yeah, we even got a white candle trying to develop. I'm not sure what that line was for, but let's remove it. And you can see it's trying to perk up a little bit. You can see the action here. See right there. See how this is turning up, just like this is turning up in here. But the weekly is still moving down. So, and you can see it's more of a flat line anyway. But today they're trying to buy it a little bit. So, shorts have to cover. That's what it really comes down to. I mean, you make money. The idea is to take profits. And that's usually the way it rolls. Now, what we've been doing is we've been drifting from here over to the Mexican peso, which has been looking really fine. Looking fine, Billy Ray. Feeling good, Lewis. And let's see why. Let's widen this a little bit. I don't know why the other one is a candlestick and this is not, but it is what it is, right there. And you can see what is this? This is the peso's actually flirting with the buy on the line here. You can see that it's just across the zero line, but we got a red and a green 2 out of 3 days. So some type of volatility is trying to kick up again. And you can see that it was up today and is moving down. And the weekly, down here on the weekly side of it, it's still in the weekly sell, not even challenging the nonlinear time manifold right there. It's just kind of marching along with the homies. And then what we do from here is we'll normally go over to, say, Bitcoin. And at the same time, I think we have the Coinbase too. Let's see where Bitcoin is. Let's cancel that. And there is. Let's go to Bitcoin. Soon we'll really have a good tool. So you can see here, Bitcoin is trying to lift up today after them smacking it down. Made some new lows. And now we're starting to make a move towards the buy side. Cool. It's been trying. It's giving us green dots. It's just that. Oh, wait a minute. Where are we at on it? Oh, yes. We've been in a buy for 2 days. Okay. And the green dot there stopped it from going into a sell. And this is the third full day now. And you can see here, it's trying again to lift up. And we're above in the weekly buy at the moment. So, matter of fact, we should put the little circly thing there. But no one's following this through Chicago Quant, so it doesn't matter. And then let's do this. Let's drift over to here. And let's see. Let's go over to, where's it at? Is it in this one? Is it here? Where's it at? I think we have it in here.